Story 1. That now as an adult, I am responsible for making a difference in the way I do things. A lot of times it's easier to say, well, I wish my parents taught me this, but that doesn't solve anything. I just accept my childhood for what it was, and if I want to learn something now, it's my responsibility to put effort into learning it. Story 2. That I am not important or special, and that apart from a few people, the only thing separating me from a homeless drug addict is my own choices. The only thing that will give me a leg up is myself. The only thing that matters is what I do, not who I am or what I think. Story 3. How truly important money is in society. People will say it doesn't bring happiness, but in our current society, it is basically everything from changing laws, living standards, dating and family, etc. Story 4. That I am enough. That I deserve happiness and someone to treat me how a partner and a person that is loved should be treated. It's still a struggle some days, but she is really patient. Story 5. That I used to be a sweet, caring, empathetic, extroverted, and most importantly, happy man. Nowadays, I rarely feel anything anymore and barely trust anyone. Story 6. That I am a major part of the reason my life sucks. Doing the bare minimum to get by will not get you far at all. The other part is knowing that I was not actually raised at all or taught anything, which led to me figuring things out as I go, and that resulted in doing just enough to make it. Story 7. Life is not fair. It does not matter how much you whine, cry, complain, protest, or riot. Nothing about that fact is going to change, and in the meantime, you will be wasting your time and effort. The only way to make it more fair is to decide what you want out of life and focus on doing the hard work to get it. At the end of the day, no matter what anyone says, the only person in the world who is going to put you and your interests first is you. Understand that and act accordingly. Story 8. No matter how hard you try, you can't make people love you. Know your worth and know how to walk away from something that doesn't suit what you are looking for in life. The short-term pain is worth not having to deal with long-term heartbreak. Story 9. That I was the only one who was at fault for my being single, and that women have every right and entirely fair reasons for why they do not find me at all attractive. Story 10. That I'm boring. Quite frustrating, actually. As a young man, I was so energized, curious, and fun-loving, but painfully shy. As a grown man, I now have no shyness, but am negative and boring instead. So I feel like I've had all the traits needed to be successful with women, but that they've not all aligned at the same time. Story 11. Looks influence how people treat you, not personality. This goes for everyone. Kids, elderly, adults, employers, cashiers, servers, and landscapers. It does not matter. Nobody is treating the overweight and unattractive girl with an amazing personality the same way as the attractive woman with the personality of a light switch. Story 12. We are not here to be happy. It is not a switch where you achieve happiness and that is it. The best you can hope for is to be okay and cherish happy times as they come and eventually pass. Story 13. Whatever it is that women like, I do not have. I will never have it. I will never be the guy that a woman is excited to date, but instead may be the guy that she will settle for because on paper I have a lot of things people want in relationships, such as financial stability, empathetic nature, proper communication, and a sense of humor. However, I am not really the exciting option that turns women on romantically, and one day down the line I will probably end up dating someone who is settling for me as the safe option, when really they wish their ex-fling they were actually attracted to would have ended up acting like me. Either that guy or someone like him will come around 10 years into my marriage, and she will cheat on me. I have already resolved to never have kids, so when that happens, I will not have to break up a family like I had to deal with growing up. I am also terrified of the idea of raising someone else's baby unknowingly. Story 14. No matter how hard you work, people only go for looks, and if you're not considered attractive, you're not going to succeed and pull yourself up. People are unwilling to let go of genetic prejudice for the sake of any human decency they claim to support, and they call anyone who isn't on their side of the issue selfish. Story 15. Damn. Reading this thread is depressing as hell. It also shows you there are lots of men suffering in silence anonymously. Hope you all find some joy somewhere in your life no matter how little. We only have one life to live, Stay strong, brothers. Story 16. That I'm truly an ugly person. It's not an easy thing for me to accept, but unfortunately, it's true. Because of that and many other factors coming into play, I've accepted that I'll probably be alone for the rest of my life. I've just accepted it and choose to find happiness in whichever other means possible. Story 17. The moment you transition from boy to man is the moment you realize you are never going to be loved unconditionally ever again. You will yearn for the moments that remind you of it. When you come home, broken and tired, with chores to do, with obligations and responsibilities, and the knowledge that if you don't do it, it won't get done. Then someone sees you like this, sees past the wall, sees the pain, and even for a moment that you do not have to keep cranking the handle, and for a short moment it will continue to turn. They make you dinner, you eat, you are nurtured. It won't last, you need to return to the grind. But we are men. We knew we were only valued and loved for what we could provide. To love us is to have conditions. And losing your boyhood innocence is having that revealed to you. Story 18, this is going to sound bad. However, it's the truth. I had to realize it wasn't my fault my life was going so badly. It was everyone else's. Therefore, I had to cut everyone else off decisively and then work efficiently to undo the damage they did. After this, I found many good relationships and success. It's unpopular, but for me, it was the truth. Story 19. Women did find me attractive, and I don't need to be absolutely shredded to be good looking. My body dysmorphia was so bad that I was eating food in the middle of the night until I had to vomit. I am not shredded now. I look kind of small with skinny fat, but I accept it, and I notice my success with women is the same as when I was lean. Body dysmorphia is really difficult. Every person that goes to the gym and looks good will never be satisfied with their body. Took me years to accept I can't look like a steroid user on Instagram. Story 20. Life is mostly about sacrifice and suffering. The Christian maxim of carrying your own cross is true. As an atheist, it was a hard pill to swallow. Also, as a man, you will always be judged by others in every way imaginable, and there is very little to no empathy if you fail at anything. Story 21. That I will never have kids. That I am at the best I will ever be, and it is not good enough. That I will die alone, and my mind will degrade until I don't know who I am anymore, and I will live years like that alone. I am waiting for when I finally accept it. Story 22. That I am getting old and need to go to the doctor regularly. I just assumed if I felt fine, I was healthy. Not to mention doctors and hospitals scare the heck out of me. But I finally went, and now I am on medication for blood pressure and cholesterol because both of those levels were very high. Story 23. Attractive women like men who have money or are driven to it. It also took me a minute to realize depressing people are not fun to be around. If you are depressed, think about other depressed people in your life. Think about the way they make you feel. That is you to the people in your life. Story 24. This might sound extremely selfish and horrible, but I feel like I will never get the recognition and respect I deserve for sacrificing my 20s and early 30s to being a wonderful husband and a wonderful father. I had no life outside of lifting everyone up and keeping them from hitting rock bottom because I was at the bottom for them to carry on. My in-laws will absolutely never respect me in the way that I feel I deserve for being an extremely good husband who elevates their daughter to pursue and accomplish many dreams. I am always there emotionally and never make her feel horrible for being an introvert. I specifically say in-laws because we bought a house together, and I still feel like they look down on me. I'm a very good father and sacrifice so much of my life to make sure my kids are excelling. Yes, I know that's just being a father, but with my wife and all of our kids being on the spectrum while I am not, I feel like they don't recognize the amount of love and patience needed for them. Don't get me wrong, I don't expect parades or anything like that, but knowing my kids are autistic, they haven't once, though it could change when they get much older, done something to show they love me and less guided. I know it's not something that is intentional, but I just really want someone to acknowledge that I have worn out my body taking care of them and my wife. I am 36 and just now starting my career path due to being a stay-at-home dad. And I feel guilty because while I'm at work, my wife is outnumbered and very stressed out. Story 25. That I am the sexiest man on earth. The hottest thing since sliced bread. The coldest man since ice. That my stuff doesn't stink, and when God needs advice, he asks me. Allowing myself to feel confident in who I am and what I like took a while. But I've never been happier. Story 26. More than hard, it took a surprising amount of time, but definitely the fact that I have some anger management issues. My loved ones said it a couple of times in recent times. You have always had a temper, you know? And it finally clicked. Story 27. Talking to somebody about my struggles with alcohol and generally addictive personality. I grew up ashamed of my alcoholic dad, so it took me a long time to overcome the self-inflicted shame I carried surrounding my own struggle. Story 28. Most of my suffering, especially in adulthood, is my fault on some level. Everything is from 100% due to my action or inaction, or from suffering or putting up with problems from people that I shouldn't. Story 29. You have got to find joy in the small things in life. If your happiness is derived from big moments like a new partner, new house, new car, a massive bonus at work, a holiday, or whatever, then your life is not going to have much regular happiness in it. If you can take joy in a hot cup of coffee, a good close shave, seeing a friend, a pleasant exchange with a stranger, or going for a walk, then you will find your life is brimming with happiness almost every day. Story 30. Nobody is going to voluntarily pay you more. You have to force them to. The world is dog eat dog deep down. Humans will gladly take advantage of another human if it's to their benefit and done behind a curtain. Story 31. Stop smoking weed. It's been almost a month, and I feel like a new person. Combine that with working out 4 to 5 days a week for the past couple of months. I'm 42 and wish I'd done this a lot sooner. Story 32. You have to cut people off no matter how close you are to them once they start holding you back. I had to do it with my mother and a couple of my ex-partners because they became a mental and financial burden. Story 33. Air quicksand test adjoining include attraction rude rock exultant command. Story 34. Nice guys finish last and no one gives a single damn. Evil people can prosper and succeed. The sins of others are easily attributed to you, and there's not a thing you can do about it. The God of the Bible may not be a bad guy, but his people are generally ignorant, narcissistic individuals. Story 35. That I can't be with my parents forever. That love is hard work. Having kids isn't a guarantee. That I have so much inner disdain for people I don't identify with. That 1 second I can be walking down the street and the next in the hospital. That friends lose their honesty to live a lie. That working hard is hard. Story 36. None of us have a clue how to pick a proper partner. People only tell us the things they think we will readily accept and nothing we will not. It's best to ask questions before feelings have fully developed. How to have a healthy relationship. No one is always going to be above all suspicions, and blind trust is simply being blind. Go ahead and trust, but be ready and willing to verify. Story 37. Just how messed up my childhood really was. But I cannot even begin to tell you how much my life started improving the moment I began consciously recognizing and acknowledging it and working on it. Story 38. That I should get a circumcision. Turned out right, but it was a long process and a pretty complicated decision to make. Still, I am glad it was my choice and not forced on me as a baby. Story 39. Police only care about female child sexual abuse victims. Police don't consider the trauma to be the same. They don't accept the response of male victims and will say things like, "It couldn't have been that bad, you seem okay," or "Why didn't you fight back?" and minimize the abuse. I was barked at and refused service when I went to report my abuse because I was in shock and whispering at reception so people nearby didn't overhear. The officer intimidated me, and I shut down. I couldn't say more than, "I need a policeman," at that point. I really just wanted a calm policeman or a policewoman and to be taken into an interview room. That officer got frustrated at what should have been an obvious trauma response and turned his back. Walked away throwing his hands in the air and said he wasn't going to help. Then went to the back office and slammed the door behind him. I had dreamt about the police saving me since I was a boy. It took 30 years to get help, and an officer was angry at me for being in shock. Story 40. No one cares. Your friends do not. Your significant other does not. Your family does not. They only care about what you provide to them. They do not care about you. Story 41. That I own my feelings, and they are my responsibility. Anger is a sign of weakness and is never justified. Other people can only make me feel a certain way if I let them. Story 42. I can't get off of opiates and benzodiazepines by myself. I've tried all kinds of therapy, including psychiatric, psychological, and counseling, as well as abstinence. Yeah, just don't do drugs is about 25 years too late. Medication-assisted treatment of opioid detox, such as methadone and buprenorphine, both sublingual and depot injection, hasn't worked either, and substitution is where I picked up a benzodiazepine addiction some 9 years ago. I've detoxed more times than I can count. I've even tried shortening the detox time by precipitating withdrawal purposely with naltrexone, but both attempts ended in the hospital. I started going to Narcotics Anonymous this year. I'm still not as clean as I'd like to be, but the subconscious mantra of "you're the only one dealing with this, and you did it to yourself, what's wrong with you," is starting to dissipate. As I sit around sharing this with a group of people from all walks of life who have the same problems, it helps. I just want to get clean enough to confidently say that I'm not going back to it, like my relationship with methamphetamine. I spent about $500,000 in 5 years in my 20s, but I'm about 12 years clean off that. All I want now is to be able to say that about opiates and benzodiazepines before my mom dies. Unfortunately, I think I'll run out of time on that one.